Hello there, magical folks here in Expedition to Soul. Let me see here if I can make sure that we are live. I'm having some technical difficulties, so it looks like I am live. All right, I will just wait and see. Hopefully I can see anybody who comes on here. My laptop has decided that it won't grant permission for me to use my camera or microphone other than on Zoom, which is super frustrating. So hello, and welcome into today's chat all about self-care. We are rounding out the self-care challenge if you've been participating in that. If you are here and you're new here for Expedition to Soul, welcome in. You can totally follow along with the self-care prompts. The challenge itself is pretty self-explanatory once you have the guide. So you can jump in if you're new here for Expedition to Soul, which starts April 18th. If you're from Self-Care and you have yet to register for Expedition to Soul, please go ahead and do that. Now, this week in our self-care challenge is really it's kind of like the challenge part. It's get out there, try some things out, and get to it. What I wanted to talk about a little bit today is the idea of capacity for self-care. So the idea that we can expand our capacity to hold self-care and live a life of self-care. On day one of Expedition to Soul, which is happening April 18th, but one of the things that we'll do on day one is reclaim our energy. And I talk about energy like spider webs, or like Spider-Man shooting his webs out. Everything you interact with out in the world has energy to it. And when you're moving through the day, through the world, every experience you have, this one right now, when you're watching the news and all the doom and gloom, or you read a book, or somebody else is like arguing with somebody at a store or at work, all of these experiences, your little energetic spider webs are attaching to all of these things, and they're all like imprinting on your energy. They're all lending to the experience that you have moving through every day and compounding into every other day, right? Over your lifetime. Now, what does this have to do with self-care? Well, this impacts your ability to be present and your ability to tune into your own body, your ability to hear your intuition, your inner wisdom, your ability to trust your gut, because we're just flooded with all of these sort of energetic web attachments that we have unknowingly sort of created. And then some of these attachments are things that are more like a leash, like they're thicker cords. These are things that we've been told like how life should be. I know that for me, it was always that I should grow up, I should get a job, I should get a house, like maybe go to college, maybe not, get married, have kids, like live a, like just like regular everyday life. That was always imparted on me. And when I started doing things differently, when I started spending more money on things than other people in my family are comfortable with, or when I started making choices that were outside the box, everybody came out with an opinion, right? Because it's not what's expected. And these expectations people have on us through life, they're really like leashes or like very thick cords. So they're thicker than these day-to-day energy webs, and they impact how we think, how we filter information. And they impact our ability to really know our own worth, our own true authenticity, and to act on that, because we're so busy like acting on these energetic cords that have kind of developed up to who we are now. But through all of those, we got to wipe them away to see who we actually are. What is our truth? What are our actual values? How do we actually feel about all of these things? What is it that we want? And when we can do that, start getting there and look at our own capacity for self-care, our own capacity for joy, for confidence, for worthiness, we can start to remove some of these cords, some of these energetic bonds, these spider webs, and really see in there where we have room for more self-care, or where we're really restricted and don't even realize it. So one of the programs we teach here at the Sisters Enchanted is called Holistic Witchery. Now I have a small group watching. Usually we're live streaming to like Facebook page and YouTube all at the same time. There's like 100 people watching. But because we're just here in the group, we got a small group here. So I don't know if we have any Holistic Witchery students in the crowd today. Typically we do, but maybe not today. And in that program, we talk a lot about shadow work. We talk about energy, being present with lunar cycles, like using magical tools like crystals and spells and all the fun stuff. One of the things that we talk about there, as I said, is your energy. So I want to invite everybody. Oh, Lynn says I am. Hand clap for Lynn. You make excellent choices. So, I'm not kidding, but I said that in a kidding kind of way. I bet you do make excellent choices. I want to look at your energy and invite you to look at your energy centers and think about your capacity for self-care. All right, we're going to start at the bottom of the energy centers and we're going to work our way up. And I'm just going to kind of ask you a question, and I want you to just think for a moment, whether you're watching this live or anybody on the replay. If you're on the replay, definitely share with us in the comments. We'd love to hear about this for you. I'll introduce an energy center and we'll talk about what it has to do with self-care, and think about capacity for self-care there. Now, when I say capacity, it's how much it can hold. So does it feel like really big, like it can hold so much? Or does it feel like maybe it's very small and there's no capacity for anything else, right? Like, how does this work for you? So yes, Andrea, get in there. Hey, Andrea, you're joining us in the upgraded expedition to Soul. So you're going to get some extra Zoom time and experience our healer, Rochelle, and all her visualization glory. So much goodness coming your way too. So the energy centers, we're going to talk about capacity. Now, the first energy center is it's the root energy center. It's right at technically like in your body. Now, the thing about energy centers is I'm going to do them no justice talking about them here in like a 30 to 40 minute time period. The energy centers are from the oldest known literature, the Vedas. It's an Indian piece of literature, and it has been westernized like crazy. So like we've put these Western spins on the energy centers. So as I'm saying this, I just want to preface this with, this is like, I mean, if we're talking surface level, this isn't like even surface level. This is like the surface of the surface level. But this root energy center, in your body center would be like where you're sitting, kind of your sit bone, your tailbone, your butt there. And if you're thinking about your auric field, it's like your body. It's here on your body. And this energy center is related to the physical plane very much so. So like your material goods, your career. It's related to how safe you feel. And when I say the word safe, it's both like general safety, like you feel safe in your home and safe in your living experience, but also safe to be yourself, because this energy center has a lot to do with your childhood. And no matter how great our parents are, some of us have great parents, some of us have questionable parents, and some of us have parents where questionable would be a nice way of putting it. So however you fell on that spectrum, this people impart ideas on us as kids that influence how we think we need to be, right? Could be a teacher, could be a parent, whoever it is. But your childhood experience relates a lot to how you feel safe to express who you are today. There can be a lot of undoing there. So when we think of self-care, we want to think about these kind of stories and how they've impacted us today as adults and our ability to manage finances, to have a career that we love, like a career that we wake up every day so happy and so joyful to participate in, to feel like held and supported by the earth and everything around us and our home spaces. So we want to look at self-care here, right? And the capacity for self-care in this energy center. So thinking about this, you can even close your eyes. You can feel like your direct aura level. You could think about that energy center like really low down and really consider that energy, this energy of self-care on this physical plane. So just very physical plane stuff, childhood stories and like money, physical things, family, all this stuff, work, career. And think, how is your capacity for self-care in this issue? Do you feel like you have lots of, like, it feels abundant and there's so much room for self-care? Or does it feel like It's like there's no room. Like you have no room to even think about like how finances, no room to process how you got to be the way you are based on like some childhood incident. I'm going to think about your capacity there. So think about it for a second. Does it feel really big or does it feel really small? You don't have to tell me, but just I'm going to give you a second. Now, knowing this, or whatever your first, there's no right or wrong answer, you know, and it could change tomorrow. You could feel like you have a different capacity feeling tomorrow than you do today, because we're human and we change every day. Knowing that, if you know that you feel like you have no capacity for self-care there, you know that there's work to be done. There's some shadow work to do. There's some digging, diving deeper to do. The next one up is your sacral energy center, and that's like your where the reproductive organs are, below your belly button, lower belly space. And this is passion. It's like real desire, like lusty passion. It can be love, but it's like a lust, like so it's like sexual passion can be here, but also just true desire and passion. An example of this that doesn't involve sex would be I went to school to be a public school teacher, certified, master's degree, all that jazz. And I ended up working with kids who learn differently in a private practice. And I did a lot of advocacy and consulting at public schools where kids weren't getting their needs met. And something that you don't get to see this side of me here at the Sisters Enchanted, but one of the things that I would march in the streets till my feet fell off, for the injustice that a lot of kids experience growing up, as related to learning differences, social emotional differences, right? And so that is a passion in me that is like a fiery driven passion that I have a hard time putting down. And that would be like a sacral energy center passion. So it would be sex. So it would be feeling beautiful in your body, the freedom to express yourself in your truest way, and the desire to like be seen as to be seen as who you are truly. That's all sacral energy center. And many women in particular really struggle in this area, and struggle because of guilt, because we feel like if we chase our desires, if we do what we want to do, then we aren't taking care of other people. If we do the thing that our gut is telling us to do, that we're going to let somebody else down, so we don't do it. So that's typically I would say that most of us probably have a capacity issue there. But I do want to ask you to ask yourself here around your capacity for desire, doing the things you desire, feeling desired, desiring to express yourself in some way, or just knowing what it is that you are so passionate about that you'll just get up and do it every day. I have a couple of those things: the Sisters Enchanted, kids with learning differences, women making money. Those would be my three. Women in poverty, kids with learning differences not getting served not getting served in the way, and the Sisters Enchanted are three of mine. Notice though how none of them, they all are serving others. Notice how none of those are directly serving me. So when I think about that though, I would think that actually my capacity for self-care here is pretty small, because I've filled it with desires that help others, not myself. So think about that for a second. All right, your sacral energy center capacity. All right, does it feel like it's so big? You can take care of yourself so well here. Does it feel really, really small? Consider that. Take note of it. Write it down somewhere. There's also a lot of anecdotal research. I haven't found any well-researched studies. I mean, there's a lot of studies, but when you look at studies, you want to see who's paying for the studies, how many people took it, what kinds of people, how did they get the people. So there's a lot of, I would say, anecdotal evidence of the fact that where we have energy center, like no capacity, or could call it a blockage or something, that it might manifest in physical issues. And I can speak to that. I am having uterus issues myself, and as you can see, I just express, I've got tons of desires, tons of them. Keep me up all night working on all three of those things. but they all serve others. Something to think about. It's an example of me. Think about that in your own life. All right, our next one is going to be your solar plexus, which is like in right under your sternum, above your belly button. And this is where we have our confidence, kind of like your own light radiating out into the world. And they all work together. But I would ask yourself here with the solar plexus, just pretty basically, how do you feel in terms of being seen as worthy, being seen as yourself in the world around you? Do you walk into a room and like shirk back, or do you feel like, I'm here, like everybody listen to me, I'm very confident, I'm here to get what's mine? How does that feel to you in terms of self-care? Can you care? Do you have room to care for yourself? Do you have room to be who you are in this area? So take a moment. Does your capacity here feel really big, like I got this, or does it feel like, oh, the teeniest, tiniest like thimble of a mouse cup? Lots of capacity or no capacity? Mark it down. I will say in my life, I've been actively working on this one. And when I walk into a room now with a lot of people, and I'm like, don't look at me, I actively visualize my energy expanding. Like I just walk and I'm like, my energy is so big. It's just growing. I'm so worthy of taking up all this space. I'm so worthy of it. And I like say that to myself, and I see my energy getting bigger as I walk. It's been helping. All right, the next one is your heart center. This is unconditional love. So where that sacral energy center down below could be like passionate, sexy, lusty love, and love for this desire, the things that you are passionate about, like what you desire in life. This is unconditional love. So when we look at unconditional love, so many of us will express it for others, but not for ourselves. We'll forgive family members who, like won't get a job and just keep asking us for money, or like people who really hurt us or make big mistakes or something. But then we do the littlest thing ever, like yell at a kid or tell our adult children no, or like whatever it is. Don't put dinner on the table, like don't clean the house for a week, don't change the sheets, I don't know, put on 5 pounds, whatever. And we're like so hard on ourselves. Like, I'm not worthy of anything because I didn't do this thing. But how much grace we give other people. So it's unconditional love here at your heart center. And that is the connection between your spiritual self, your higher self, and your grounded earthly self. And really the root of self-care, and how unconditionally you can love yourself and forgive yourself the same you would other people, and allow yourself all of the different tools that we've discussed and that you've read about in this challenge. Or if you bought the book, see the book over there on the shelf. So think about your heart center for a moment. What is your capacity for self-care? Does it feel like I have so much capacity for self-care? I know that I unconditionally love myself. I forgive myself, treat myself just like I would everybody else. Or does it feel really small? And you're like, oh, don't even talk to me about self-care and self-worth and self-love and forgiving myself. Just like block my ears. I can't even hear about it. Think about that for a second. So your heart center. All right. Does it feel small? Does it feel big? Make note of it. Mental note, write it down. All right, moving on up. We got 3 left. Hang in there. We're moving right along. The next one is going to be your the energy center at your throat. So too, as we move up, when we think about our aura body, these are like levels that grow outward. So if you have like your root is your body, it's like right here. Then you have your sacral, your solar plexus, your heart. Now we're on our communication. So these higher ones, as they move up here, this is also the things like as our energetic body is moving around the world, that's where we're receiving information through. So by the time it's coming back to us again, it's filtered through all of these things we're going to talk about. So it's filtered through what how you believe that your connectedness impacts the world through your crown, which we haven't talked about yet. How you trust your own inner wisdom, your knowing through your intuition, your ability to communicate your truth. Then it's being filtered through your self-worth and your unconditional love for yourself. Then your ability to take up space. Then your ability to feel desire. And then it's all touching in on your earthly experience. So getting rooted into the mud there. But everything's moving through this as it gets to you. So we have our throat energy center here. And Risa says, mine's got bigger thanks to you all, and it's getting bigger. Yeah, Risa was like the top performer, the top participator in our last self-care challenge, an expedition to soul, and joined us in holistic witchery. And it's just been so beautiful to see Risa, like everything, you put your heart and soul into everything. It's amazing to witness. Okay, so the throat center, here is our communication. So it's our ability to communicate our truth, but right along with that, your ability to communicate your truth, also your ability to hear the truth of others without judgment. Without judgment, which can be hard. We've all lived these past few years. It's very challenging to sometimes live our truth and accept somebody else's without judgment. But that's communication. You know, if we want to be heard, if we want to be validated, we've got to be able to do the same for others. So here I would invite you to explore your ability to speak your truth, how that relates to your self-care. And along with that, some shadow work, your true ability to really hear the truth of others without judgment and without trying to tell them why they're right or wrong. All right, so your capacity for self-care here at your throat center. Is it like really big? You're like, yes, I care for myself all the time. I say what I need, I set my boundaries, I live them. Or like, no, not at all. Big or small. With that comes respecting other people's boundaries too when they've set something down. All right, next up is the third eye, right between your eyebrows there, and that is your intuitive center. So your intuition is where your inner wisdom, this wisdom you were born with, some people might call it past life knowledge, or just like whatever you're born with through your genetic DNA or your ancestral DNA, spirit connection, some people will call it. It's your intuition's actually a meeting of all of that, plus your rational experience. So you learn about safety, like you learn about red lights, stop signs, you learn all of these things while you are growing up, right? And you learn like not to walk off the edge of a cliff, you learn all this stuff. So you are having this, your intuition is a meeting of these experiences, because as you experience things in your rational world, it awakens also this deeper wisdom. It awakens this just knowing. So you can then apply what you've learned to be true about not walking off a cliff to not walking off other things that look dangerous, right? So your rational experience can help to light the flame of your intuition. It's the same like if you read tarot or you're a psychic or reader medium or something like that. When you read for other people, there's this intuitive sense about it that you're just receiving information, this psychic spin to it, but you're able to communicate it through your rational experience. So this is your third eye. And here it's your ability to trust this thing that you don't really know where it's coming from. You don't really know. And what's interesting about your energy system here is that it is a system. It all works together. So we talk about a gut reaction and gut knowing. That's all informed also by your ability to feel safe, by your ability to feel passion and desire, and by your ability to shine your light and be seen as the person who can put this information out there. So all of this impacts your intuition because it all works together. So looking at your third eye center now, you can just think for a moment. Your capacity for self-care here. And what might that look like? That might look like trusting this thing. Like maybe you've just known forever, like I just need to quit this job. I need to. It doesn't make any sense. I need to quit it. That would be, trusting that. That's self-care and trusting this knowing. Being able to trust when something isn't for you, or you should or shouldn't do something. All right, so in this self-care center, how does it feel? How's your capacity? Is it really big or is it really small? Like no capacity at all. So third eye, How's that capacity? All right, mark it down, make a mental note. Feels really big, feels really small. Some of your capacity for in different areas can, like some areas you might feel like, oh, I have so much capacity for self-care here. And in some you might feel like none at all. But that's how you know where to get started working. All right, then we have your crown energy center. I just gotta shift around a little bit here. I didn't have a place to put my phone, and my tech gremlins just were not working out last minute. This is killing my back sitting here. So I have no capacity for back pain. The top energy center, so that's the crown, the top of your head. And this is where we look at our connection, our conscious connection, or consciousness, or whatever, subconscious connection to the greater collective. So whatever you believe in. Now, here at the Sisters Enchanted, not everybody, we welcome people in with different belief systems. So we have people in our community who are who believe in the Christian God. We have people in our community who are Jewish, who are Catholic. We have people in our community who are atheists. We have pagans. Lots of people here. And whatever it is for you, like whatever you believe that this thing is, spirit, universe, God, gods, deity, just people at large, like the humanity. But the fact that we do have a connectedness to something outside of ourselves, the trees, the mushrooms. Have you seen that Netflix documentary about the fungus, like how they connect? It's wild. Check it out. Anywho, this is your connection to things that are greater than you. And this is also important in terms of self-care, because when you don't care for yourself, you're not contributing, you're not your best to contribute to this higher connectedness, right? So if you're not caring for yourself, you're pouring back into this connectedness murky energy. And so many of us, as I said, with our sacral energy centers, will feel guilt taking time for ourselves, and we think we're not serving anybody. But when we look at our energy up here, really, in the long run, we really aren't serving people if we're not caring for ourselves and contributing back to this connectedness. So do the capacity check-in. Energy center up here. It's like your widest, furthest out auric field. How does that feel? Do you feel like you've got tons of capacity for self-care, or do you feel like you don't have any capacity and it's very small? So take a second, just feel into that. Like that you deserve so you can serve. One of those cliche statements. All right. So we just ran through all of the energy centers and thought about self-care and your capacity to have self-care, your capacity to gift yourself, to receive, to live self-care in those areas. I'm willing to bet that many people were like, oh, no capacity in so many areas. I can relate to that. Good news is when you know it, you can actively work toward changing it. And just like the Fool's Journey in Tarot, we're all constantly like restarting again at the beginning in different areas of our life. We always have an invitation to do more of this, to help change something for ourselves and move forward into a different position. And one of the things that I know to be true is that following your gut, clearing, doing like what you think you need to do, taking the leap of faith never makes sense in the moment. In hindsight, you can always connect the dots. In the moment, never, ever, ever makes sense. I can see this for myself. I went to college, I got a job. It was a great job. It was a really good job. I was 21 with a company credit card, company car. Like I couldn't complain. And I decided to quit it randomly with 2 weeks notice. Literally was like, I'm gonna quit my job and go to grad school. Gave my notice, went to grad school to become a teacher, became a teacher, ended up working for a private practice with a woman who taught executive functioning skills to kids with learning differences and adults with learning differences. A lot of lawyers and doctors who can't organize a calendar or send an email. And then also did advocacy for kids in school, right? So then I ended up doing that for myself, also in private practice. Then started the Sisters Enchanted, went on to have a baby myself who has learning differences. And it's only really standing here looking back that I can see all of these leaps of faith I made to quit a good job, get a public school teaching certificate, not actually teach public school, but then go work for a small business where I've not had health insurance in I think 9 years now, where I did not have any benefits or anything like this, right? Going from there, and then moving from there into, I was laid off right before I had my first kid, had to start private practice myself, could have got a job, but didn't, took a leap of faith, took another leap of faith here. And now looking back, I can see how everything lines up. In the moment, we can't ever see that, right? It's always looking back. So learning to expand our capacities for self-care will help us to trust ourselves and move forward. All right, one other thing, somebody did have a question. I posted if anybody had questions. If you have questions, you can let me know. The one I did see was about like feeling scattered with wanting to do everything. And I do see and here one comment, personally had to learn to remove myself from a situation to be able to process it in a neutral mindset. Yeah, that's a handy tip, removing yourself to process from neutrality. It's a very handy tip. And one thing that I think that can be really, one thing that I would reiterate to people watching this, especially when we start to talk about shadow work, which we'll do more over the next couple of weeks, is that people who have experienced like a trauma, something that really is deep in there, it's not about just like spiritualizing your way through it, right? And pretending like it didn't happen, or like your emotions are real and they're valid and you're having them. I think that, and I love this idea of neutrality, because when we can pull ourselves out to look and say, hey, I'm still standing, and look at everything I have done, and look at what I'm capable of and what I'm worthy of, that can be very helpful. And I'll throw in, this is a disclaimer I usually give once we start talking a lot more about shadow work, but the really hard stuff that might come up and the really traumatic things, there's no shame in stepping away from that stuff or getting the right support you need to move through that, rather than just trying to hit it head on, because I told you to grow your capacity somewhere. So that's my disclaimer. Okay, scatteredness. Somebody shared, the comment was feeling like multi-passionate, really scattered, and how to handle this. So I can relate to this so much. When I started the Sisters Enchanted, I still had my other business working education, and then like opened, this online witch school, basically teaching tarot and like magic things and mindset stuff, energy centers. And definitely a multi-passionate person. This is the longest I've ever had one job, actually. This is Enchanted. We're going to be 6 years old in May. The longest I've done one thing. And I think that I would focus on a greater sense of what you want life to be like. So for me, my intention currently in life is time and location freedom. That's always my intention. And when I'm making decisions, it doesn't matter if I'm scatterbrained and if I'm doing 100 things at once and I want to do 10 different things for a business, or for a career, or whatever it is I want to do. I can always look at my intention for living, for life in general, and how is this getting me to my intention, or is it taking me away from it? And then that's my question. That's always my question. And any given day I waffle between like, oh, we should just stay home for the next 6 months, and oh no, we should hit the road and travel again. Because I do have 2 little kids, and both of them have very uniquenesses about them. And it's not always the easiest thing to do what we do, and that we just spent 7 weeks in Florida, and we have another 7 weeks of trips planned on and off between, like, in the next few months. But on any day I'm like, oh no, I want to live this life, no, I want to live this life, no, I want to live this life. But I do want time and location freedom. So every choice I make, does it align with that? Yes or no? And then I can be multi-passionate, I can be scattered, and I can get there. The other thing too about this idea of being scattered and not getting things done like on a day-to-day basis, I can relate to that as well. And I think that this idea of your heart energy center and unconditional love for yourself too, and we don't always have to fix these things about ourselves, I'm not looking to fix the fact that I don't know, like, what am I really, I'm really poor at tidying up after myself. Very poor at it, not my strong skill. But I don't walk around like feeling bad about myself about that, or thinking like, I'm less than because somebody else has a cleaner house or a cleaner desk or whatever. No, that's just a way that I am. It's a thing about me. So I don't focus on how do I fix this weakness. I focus on what I am, like my superpowers, and how do I just be more super in my superpowers. So I think too that heart center and that unconditional love part, right? And just you are who you are, and what are your strengths? How can you play to them? So that scatteredness in two different ways there. This day-to-day scatteredness, which I see a lot in comments from folks, or this intention setting. Like you don't know what your goals are, you don't know what intentions to set because there's so many you could do. And I think that knowing how you want to live, how you want to be, how you want to experience your life, right? And then filter your choices through that, because you can do more than one thing. You can certainly do more than one thing. Yes. So, all right then, that is your self-care. It's our self-care chat for today. We went a little over half an hour. We have one more of these on Saturday, I believe. Sunday. And then we'll check in here, and then Expedition to Soul starts the 18th. So, get in there while the getting's good. Let's see here. Suggestion to ground. Yes, always coming back to being present. I feel like what's happening right now? What is true right now? In terms of executive functioning skills, those of us who have executive functioning deficits, I love the strategy of keeping a sticky note by and writing down what it is you're setting out to do right now. Like check my email, write it down. And then when you find yourself doing something else, this is in front of you to show you what you were doing. Give it a go. Andrea wants to learn all the things, need to work on time management, chaotic tangent thoughts. Yes, sticky notes, I'm telling you. It's a good strategy. All right. So I guess I'll see you live on Sunday, and make sure to check out the upgraded Expedition to Soul if you wanted to have lifetime access to the videos. If you're in the app group, we'll have a separate community there. For this, we have we're doing a Zoom group gathering, Q&A, or just like discussion for the upgraded experience. And our friend Rochelle, who does the visualizations every month for our membership community, she's going to do a visualization with everybody over Zoom, I believe, on the 18th after the live stream for that day. And some extra goodies and things, and I don't have them on me, I don't think, but we are mailing some stickers out to everybody who registers also, so we'll be getting those in the mail. And I think that's it. All right, so have a great day, everyone, and I will see you all on Sunday. And I'm gonna go stretch my back out. Bye.